Today I want to share why you can't just fill in the crotch curve if you want to raise it up versus slashing and spreading to move it up. I'm working with a pants fitting student, and we're at the process now where we're evaluating the fit of her muslin, and after picking up the front crotch, the front crotch curve now feels too tight. So I went in Illustrator and I traced her pattern pieces so I could show you what it looks like when you just fill in the crotch curve. And then I want to show you the difference between doing that and then lifting up the crotch by slashing and moving the pieces. So in front of me, you can see this was the original crotch curve. Okay, so it was down here, and I'm just coloring it in so you can see. So that was the original. And then we were working on fitting the pant leg, and her front crotch needed to be raised up higher. So what she did was she filled it in like this. And I'm just going to color in what she filled in here. Okay. And you have to fill in the back as well, because remember, if you have to raise your front crotch, you also have to raise the back at the inseam so the inseams stay the same length. And I'm just going to cut off one of the extra paper here so I can just show you. See, this looks excellent in terms of having a, the transition is fairly good. And I'm guessing on her actual pattern, it's not picking up at the top of the side seam. You can see it's a little bit higher here. When you trace a pattern from a photo, it gets a little bit distorted, but the basic shapes are there. But you can see that this is a very nice transition. So that was done really, really well, filling it in and getting a nice transition. That was excellent. But what happens when you just fill it in like this is you end up shortening the front and back crotch extensions because the new lines are straighter and less curved. All right, so let's just measure the differences here. I'm going to measure between these two red dashes, and I'm using my ruler, not my digital measuring tool, because it's such a small measurement that it's easier to capture on the ruler. I was going to use my new digital measurer, but because the line is so short, I was having trouble getting it to register. So let's just measure it old school here. So this measures 1 1/16, and the new line measures I would say 7/8 of an inch. And a 1/4 inch shorter. So you can imagine on the full-size pattern, the new crotch shape is more than a 1/4 inch shorter than the original. And the same thing would happen in the back. So that's what happens when you do that. So it's not wrong to fill it in like this, but you do want to maintain the measurement. So your choices are, very simply, I could just extend this out the additional, almost 1/4 inch and fill it in like this, right? I could do that. And then it would match, and I would do the same thing in the back. Or to get a better shape, you could actually slash the pattern and lift it up. Now, I've done a full tutorial on this previously, but I'm just going to show it again quickly here to show you the difference. Because also notice how much straighter this crotch line is versus the curvier line there. And the intersection here is a little bit pointy to fit a body. So you could just, maintain the measurement by measuring the two curves, crotch curves, and then lengthening the one you just lifted. Or the other thing you can do, and this is what I would recommend doing, is I'm just going to cut off one inseam so I could butt them up next to each other like this. Okay, so this is what the crotch looked like initially. And I'm just going to use a couple of my So Tight boosters to hold these here. So the way I would do it, so I don't have to worry about maintaining the measurement, is to continue the line from center back and center front, you know, and then draw a line directly below. And then I'm just going to cut that out like this. I'm going to cut this out. So now I've got my two pieces, right? And the first thing I'm going to decide is how much do I need to raise my front. So I'm just going to put some paper here, and let's do a consistent amount to what was done here. So about a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to make a mark there. Okay, and then I'm going to slide up the front piece like that, and I'm going to tape it back down. And then I'm going to take the back. Now the back did not need to be lifted at the base of the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pivot it like this until I can get the transition from front to back to agree height-wise. So I'm pivoting it up like this. So I'm trying not to really raise it here, but I have to raise it up here where the tip of the front crotch is. So I'm just going to do this until I get a nice looking shape. Let's say right there. I'm going to tape that into position. I'm also going to, before I do that, I'm going to cut this out because the extra paper is making it confusing. So let me just cut some of that away. All right. So I'm going to, again, I'm going to tip this up so it matches like this. Okay, and I did have to raise it a little bit. You can play with it, you know, try to keep it as low at the base or the back of the back crotch curve like this, right? So see, now what I've done is I've created a nice shape like this. Oops. Okay, and then to maintain the measurement, and this is the important part, see this gap right here? I'm going to continue my inseam straight up like that, and I'm going to include that in the pattern. So I'm going to just tape this together right here, and then when I cut them apart, that becomes part of the entire shape. And I'm just going to cut off all the extra paper here so you can see. Okay, and I'm just going to separate these now, and I'm just going to cut this one off. Okay, so you can see, whoops, I lost my little bit of paper under there. Let me just tape that back down. So you can see what I ended up with is a crotch curve that not only, you know, I raised up right here, the front, barely anything in the back, but now my inseams still match, see? But I also maintained the measurement. I also have a nice shaped front crotch. I don't have that pinchy little corner right here. All right, so that's just a quick illustration on why if you fill it in like this, you need to also maintain the measurement of the crotch curve. So this is just, you could do it this way if you want to, but then you have to make sure you have a nice shape in your crotch curve that you redrew, or you can just lift it up and then you're not having to worry about redrawing. Now the one thing I want to point out to you here is this little piece here overlapped a little bit. Don't worry about that. Okay, so if you have to pivot it up to meet the front and it overlaps here in the back, don't worry about that. That's not so much a length adjustment as a horizontal adjustment. And you can also let out the side seam a little bit if it gets a little snug in there. But basically, by maintaining the measurement at the tip of the crotch, that gives you the best shape. And I think you can also see it's creating a low butt curve situation because everything is going down to the back. This is the back and this is the front. All right, so I just wanted to share this during Fit Tip Tuesday, and then I can refer my student to it. And if anybody else is struggling with raising their front crotch curve and maintaining the measurement. So I just wanted to show that even though this method of cutting, slashing, and spreading the pieces is a little bit more involved, I think in the end it's a little bit easier. If you're enjoying my content, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel because it helps me grow. And thank you guys so much for watching.